Got the Houston Rockets up next year. And that's a team that I think we're both kind of excited to see how they do, honestly. So taking it from the top, Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun need to take all-star level leaps. Like,
Sure.
I think we could probably both agree that if there had to be a face of the franchise, it's definitely between one of these two guys. Jalen
Yes.
Green definitely wants that spotlight. Sengun kind of came from left field and kind of made it more assertive about him. We talked about Sabonis being a baby Jokic. Well,
You could say the same thing about this guy.
Sengun's a baby
Yeah.
Sabonis. Sengun's a baby Jokic as well. He has the footwork. He has the game. Dunked on Wemby last year, so he has that grit in him, the highlight plays and stuff. Like, I love Sengun's game, but Jalen Green is an offensive microwave, man. Let's see if
He
he
had
can.
that streak or that whatever he was averaging over 30 a game
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah, like definitely
He can light it up.
establish himself. Hey, I'm the number one option. Like, run this through me. So glad to answer those questions last year. Number 2, I need them to figure out what young guys are actually a part of this core, like long term, because they have a lot. We talked about this in the past podcast episodes. They have a lot of young talent.
Yes, they do.
Reed Shepherd, Jalen Green, Sengun,
Maybe too much young talent.
Yeah, Cam Whitmore, like those are Jabari Smith. Those are 6. Tari Eason. These are a lot. These are 7 guys with only 5 starting spots, and a lot of them also play like the wing positions. Because Cam Whitmore is another guy like that. I'm really like, hey, he could be a good piece on no matter where he goes.
Yeah,
like a number 2 scoring option potentially in some places today. Like, I really like Cam Whitmore's game, and Amen Thompson Reed Shepherd is like, it's just a bunch of different guys that they got to figure out what schemes work. Ime Udoka definitely has his homework cut out for him. I hope he's been working hard this offseason to kind of find out where to implement guys and stuff and staying away from women. So it's a tall street. Yeah, please, God. Lastly, though, I think you need to move on from Fred VanVleet soon. I talked about these young guys needing to see where they fit.
Always not forget, but it's like always like Fred VanVleet, like, oh yeah, he is on the Rockets. You know what I mean?
It was just one of the. I feel like last offseason, Houston was like, hey, we just want to get somebody.
We have money. We have money to spend. Let's get a
get a car. You get a car. Like, hey, they definitely look
Brooks for sure.
Yeah. Like, and I think Fred VanVleet is a good player, but for that contract, it's definitely going to be pretty hard to move him. I can't think of a team that would actually want
they'd
him.
have to attach something with it.
It has to be a young piece. That's why you see where my mind's going. You definitely string him along to one of these young possible stars that you're like, I don't think it's going to work, and go get a position that's necessary. Like, definitely you have center and 2 guard taken care of. At your point guard, you can have Reed Shepherd or you can have Amen Thompson run it. Take your pick. Maybe you want to move on from Jabari Smith. Maybe you want to get another small forward. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that Houston could do to kind of position themselves along with these other young Western Conference teams that we're kind of looking at like, wow, like OKC could very much go to the finals next year. Minnesota can go to the finals. Dallas can go back, like, or whatever it is. They're on the same type of timeline as them if this young talent takes a major step up. And I think in order to really let them do that, to grow and flourish in the backcourt, I think Fred VanVleet got to get out of here. So that's my 3.
No, I'm with you. I think Fred VanVleet was like, at the time, get a veteran in there, get an older player, kind of keep you somewhat competitive. I think you do make moves like that. But it was never meant to be a long-lasting relationship. Everyone knew it was like a friends with benefits type of thing. And then you move on from it eventually. So I think we're getting to the point at the end of that relationship. I think, that's not the worst thing. It's not the worst problem in the world to have a lot of young talent and trying to figure out what to do with them. Teams have that problem. Oklahoma City has a lot of young talent. They also have a lot of picks that they're going to have to deal with at some point. So it's like eventually, like, you have to face the reality of like, we probably can't keep all these guys. All these guys are going to want more opportunities and stuff like that. So you got to balance it out somehow. Obviously keeping some of these young guys, but also finding which ones you could put in trades to get key position pieces that, you can fill out the rest of the roster, some bigger name players, whatever it may be. Definitely think that maybe this season is the trial run this season, especially if they get rid of Fred VanVleet. I know they came close to making the playoffs last year, and hell, if it all works out, that if the chemistry is there, I do think that they can be right back where they were last year. But this is another situation, kind of like with Orlando, where I don't think there's a rush here. You don't have to be like, we need to be competitive this year. We need to be competitive next year. Like, you have time. You have a ton of young guys. Figure out who works, who fits best with the system, whatever. Let this year happen, and then you go from there. I think that's kind of what it needs to be. And I think the two guys that should be the center of all of this, Green and Sengun, both those guys have been brought up in trade rumors. For star players, Kevin Durant, when they were talking about Houston might be interested, one of those two guys could have been packaged. I think that these two guys they try to build around, then try to trade, unless obviously there's an offer or a player that you really feel like will change the trajectory of your team and whatnot. But I think that these two guys should be the cornerstones of this franchise, and I also expect them to have those all-star level leaps as well.